Right, with the new year just a few hours away, many people are celebrating with their families and loved ones, but some are experiencing loneliness and depression for reasons that could include divorce, retrenchment, or loss of loved ones. I'm joined now on the line by, in fact, via Skype, by clinical psychologist at Sterkfontein Psychiatric Hospital, Viljoen, to talk to me about this issue. Barry, good afternoon. Thank you for joining me. So this is a festive period, we call it, but with the specter of, the mental health situation in our country that we've been dealing with, and perhaps not even dealing with to the extent that we should be, what are the pitfalls from a mental health perspective of a time like this?
Afternoon. Thank you so much for having me. I think one of the big things that's come across in this time is that, like you said, it's very much marketed as a time in which we should be spending time with family and friends. And for those of us who are maybe a bit more isolated, either because of our work or, just because of our lifestyles, I think you're already going to start seeing that amplified. And I mean, researchers kept talking about that, very much like you said. Also, when people are going through stages of transition in life, we tend to feel more isolated, and then we have higher rates of depression. We're probably at a higher risk of that. And I think then with things like social media as well, when we're seeing how everyone is enjoying themselves and it's so festive and we're by ourselves, I think that amplifies all of that.
Barry, talk to me about the reflection element of it all. I mean, it's the last day of the year, and many people spend it reflecting on what has happened this year, what goals they were able to achieve, what goals they missed. But at the same time, is there an element of apprehension about the coming year that adds to this mix?
Look, I think there's always going to be apprehension about the future. I think, like you said, reflection does happen, and I think reflection is a very healthy thing. Although my concern is sometimes when we talk about setting goals, we set unrealistic goals. And I mean, there's a phenomenon which you call temporal myopia, where we set goals and they're unrealistic goals because, again, there's no emotion about the future. There's just an expectation of what could be. So if you think about generally when it comes to setting goals, often people talk about losing weight, getting fitter, stopping smoking, these major lifestyle changes. But we don't know what it's going to be like afterwards. So a lot of the time, we're tempted by the initial emotion and the initial kind of hedonism of what's in our present. And that's why we often fail.
All right, Barry, I'm completely out of time. That's Barry Viljoen, who is a clinical psychologist at Sterkfontein Psychiatric Hospital, joining me here on Upfront. Up next.